It's 12, so I'll go ahead and start with like my part. Um, so I'm Kelsey. I'm one of the coordinators, and thank you for joining us today. I know a lot of y'all are probably eating and have lots and lots of stuff to do. So just like a few reminders, and I can't remember if there's a slide about this or not, but if you can, just to keep yourselves muted throughout this. I know that like I said, people are eating, there's things that you're in offices. So just so that we can hear, because this is a very sound heavy, vocal heavy exhibit for the or program for the people participating. And then what we'll do for comments, just to keep things from getting too unruly. If you have comments, questions, anything, like as we go on, you can put those in the chat. I'm watching the chat, and so what we're gonna do is like we'll go through each simulation, and then in between, I'll go through what people have written, and if there's questions or like, oh, this is how I would have done it kind of stuff, we'll do it that way, just so that, like I said, it doesn't devolve into chaos. Um, let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. If you have any like technical issues or anything, feel free to send me a direct message. I will try to do my best to address it from away. And let's see other things. If you haven't seen it, there are the slides we can send out after. So we can send out the slides. I think we might be able to send out the recording. I'm not sure. I think we're going to talk about that. And then I didn't, Beth, do they contact you if they need a certificate?
Yeah, we'll send an email tomorrow with all the information and they'll get a certificate for their contact hours for participating.
Okay, awesome. So I'll be here hovering. If you need something, let me know, but I'm gonna go off camera because I'm not really talking that much. I'm gonna turn it over to the people running the show.
Beth, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Beth Ash. I work at Bowling Green State University. I'm a grant program manager here, and I work with the immersion virtual simulation program that we're going to see today. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. And Jared, is he able to? Okay.
Yep, I'm here. My name is Jared Mariani. I'm the lead virtual simulation specialist at Bowling Green State University, and I am going to be the person behind the avatars today for you all. So,
You get to see the man behind the curtain. It's kind of exciting. This is pretty fun stuff. If you've not yet had the opportunity to participate in this, we're certainly excited to have you here today, and excited to see everybody kind of have this opportunity to walk through and practice these virtual simulations in this way. My name is Bridget Swihart. I am with the Mental Health First Aid Collaborative, and I'm a statewide instructor support specialist, and I'll be just walking through the simulations with everybody as well today, kind of walking through and guiding us through that.
Before we keep going, sorry, can I interrupt really quick? I just want to know, it's something we have some of the AI assistants. Is that something we can do, Beth and Bridget, or do we need to stop with our AI? I know that's something we've talked about, but we didn't talk about it before this.
I think I'm okay with it. Beth, if you want to chime in.
I don't have any objections to it. Do any of the participants? Would anyone rather we don't have those?
And I will say, I think we don't want recording other than us. So if I believe one or two people are recording, so I'm gonna go through and stop that. But this recording will be, I think we'll be able to make it available just because there's like content and stuff that we don't want, that we can't get copyrighted. So just for everybody's safety. Okay, turn it over back to you.
Thank you, Kelsey. All these new things to consider, right? With all this technology. Well, welcome again, everybody. So I'm assuming that many of you, if not most of you, are past mental health first aiders. You are probably have been certified as a mental health first aider. And or maybe you are an instructor, or maybe you've just heard about mental health first aid and want to learn more about it. Regardless, certainly we're excited to have you here and excited to have you be able to experience this opportunity to do more practicing if you would, while I continue to kind of talk about mental health first aid and do a quick review, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat, just introduce yourself. Let us know where you're at, where in either the state that you're at, and then if how long ago it has been since you became certified as a first aider, whether as a first aider or as an instructor. Again, it's just always kind of fun to see where people are at and what type of how long we've all been certified. So thank you and appreciate you doing that. So just as a little recap, for those of you that maybe need that refresher, as mental health first aiders, what we do, of course, is provide that early intervention to individuals experiencing maybe early onset symptoms of a mental health crisis or challenge, and then offer the support in those crisis situations. And one of the things that we've noticed as a project that has delivered a lot of mental health first aid is the feedback we get from participants is how much they appreciate getting to do the scenarios and having that chance to do the practice, and they all want to do more practice, which is why we're so excited to have this opportunity with Beth and with Bowling Green State University to do this practice, because that's really what we're going to do today. So if you think back to when you took your training, many of you, it looks like some of you are as recent as just a month ago, which is great to see. Some people a couple of years ago, great to see. But what we do, as first aiders, of course, is we use our action plan, which we see up on the screen right now. Our A, of course, is assessing for the risk of suicide or harm. Our L is listening non-judgmentally. Our G is giving reassurance and information. Our E is encouraging appropriate professional help. And E is encouraging self-help and other support strategies. That's our lane. That's what we do as mental health first aiders. And that's the guide that we're going to use today when we walk through these scenarios. We're going to actually have the opportunity to participate in 3 scenarios, 3 different individuals having a variety of different mental health challenges. And I'm going to invite you to volunteer to walk through this and walk through the simulation. And Beth's going to walk through with us a little bit of more of the nuances and the details of how that looks. But before we get started, I do want to just put a little reminder out there. Many people that are here today come to today's training as well as come to being a first aider with a lot of additional background knowledge. Maybe you have had additional formal training in mental health training, behavioral health, clinically, maybe professionally. Just remember the role of a first aider. Just be cautious about not letting those lines merge. Certainly, one of the things that we learned from the last time that we were in this training is that a lot of us bring our own knowledge base, our existing knowledge base into the training, which is great, and into these interactions, which is great. But for learning purposes today, remember to keep in this framework that we have in front of us, our ALGE action plan, and utilizing that as our guide as we offer that support to the individuals in these scenarios. So Beth, one other thing about the recording, we will be recording. So if you do not want to have your face on the camera or on that recording, just black yourself out. That's perfectly fine too. But Beth, if you would like to kind of walk through with us the logistics of how this is going to operate.
Yeah, so like Bridget mentioned, we are going to work through 3 different scenarios that will offer the opportunity to apply ALGE. We have 3 different avatars you'll get to meet, and all of them are working through various mental health challenges at this time. After each interaction, we'll talk about it and people can share what they saw and where we saw ALGE applied. But also, while you're watching the interactions as observers, if you want to comment in the chat where you saw A, where you saw L, go ahead and, we can kind of interact that way too. But, we'll have this opportunity to apply this strategy.
Wonderful.
All right, so here is our first scenario. We're going to be meeting with Adam. And you all can read this, but Adam is a coworker, usually pretty outgoing and laid back, but lately you've noticed a change with Adam. He's been more reserved and less talkative. Also, he's been noticeably distracted and easily irritated. So you just want to do a check-in with Adam, find out why his attitude has shifted, be empathetic while listening to him, offer support, and then devise a plan of action. So work through algae with Adam.
And Beth, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in order for them to start the scenario or to start the, do you want to kind of walk through that and then
Yeah,
pause?
we're gonna bring, yeah, we'll go ahead and bring our host avatar on for that. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Does this scenario make sense and everyone sees what we're looking at here, what we're dealing with? Did you have anything else you wanted to highlight for this, Bridget, or?
No, nope. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, so as Bridget mentioned, we are going to go through the instructions on how the interaction works. And to do that, we're going to bring our host avatar, Michael, on.
Hi there. Can everyone hear and see me okay? Great. Great. I see Bridget giving a thumbs up. So my name is Michael. I'm the host avatar. I'm just going to go over a few guidelines with you and let you know how the simulation works. So the first thing you need to know is just when you want to start the simulation, all you have to do is say start or begin simulation. At that point, the avatar will appear on your screen and you can begin. If at any point you feel like you don't know what to do, or maybe you don't know how to respond to something, you can say pause simulation. The avatar will leave the screen and you can take a minute to collect your thoughts or ask any questions you might have. And then when you're ready again, you can say resume simulation. The avatar will reappear and you can pick up right where you left off. You don't have to start over. And then a sort of extra note, if you ask the avatar to do something that they cannot do, for example, stand up or move around, they will find a way to tell you that they cannot do what you're asking. And so that's just your cue to know that whatever you're asking can't be done. And then finally, when you're finished with your interaction, just say end or stop simulation. The avatar will leave the screen and then you can have a debrief over how the interaction went. Does that all make sense? All right. And one final reminder, just make sure that if you haven't already muted your Zoom, to make sure you do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Does somebody want to, what are we saying to start simulation? Great question. I think you just say start, correct? Yeah, you just say start. So if somebody wants to volunteer, you'll have to unmute yourself. Yeah, if you want to volunteer, you can say, you can unmute yourself now and say, I'd like to volunteer to do this first one. No problem. Does that mean you're, is it AMS? Does that mean you'd like to volunteer? Do I hear a volunteer there? All right, excellent. Look at that. Look at that. I love the enthusiasm. All right. So what we'll do, yeah, so you'll walk through it. And then again, like Beth said, you guys, everybody else that's watching, you guys can put in the chat box if you're seeing, an A being demonstrated, an L, a G, an E, and what exactly they are. What are the statements that are being said that are demonstrating algae throughout this interaction? And then what we'll do, at the end is we'll kind of do a little debrief together with AMS and just kind of talk about how that went. All right, so AMS, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Start simulation.
Okay, give me 1 second. Hello.
Hey, Adam, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling okay.
Can you expand on that a little bit more, please?
Sure. Yeah. Doing all right. Yeah, just taking it one day at a time, I guess.
Are you feeling a little hopeless, or is there anything else going on that you want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, I I've been having some money issues lately, but I didn't know you knew that.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just have noticed you've been a little bit out of character lately, and I just want to make sure you're okay.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I guess I didn't really realize I'd been acting different. My my wife got laid off recently, and we've been having some money problems, like I said, and I don't know. I guess I guess it's been weighing on me a bit. I've just been really nervous about how we're gonna make ends meet, you know?
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's got to be really difficult for both of you right now. Um, is there anything else that I can do or a way to help you?
Oh, well, I don't know. I really appreciate you checking in. I just I, I guess I've just been feeling really anxious lately about it. You know, I haven't really been sleeping a whole lot, and you know, I think I might have to get a second job, um, which has kind of really been stressful, I guess. You know, I'm barely home as it is, and now I'm gonna have to get a second job, and I don't know how things are gonna work out. I don't know what we're gonna do.
I hear you. Is there anything that I can offer you in support while you're going through this right now?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not really sure what my family and I are gonna do. I don't know what you can do to help me.
Would you like to spend some time together? We can create a plan to see what you and your family can do to help get more money.
Um, sure. I guess that would probably be helpful.
There are a couple organizations in our community, such as a food bank or another organization that can help out with um, different assistant programs that we can write down, and I can give you the numbers too. Um,
Can you hear me?
Oh,
oh,
that would be great. You know, I don't really know any of those organizations. I've never really had to use them before. So yeah, if you could point me in the direction to some things that might be helpful, that would be amazing.
sorry, can we pause?
Yeah, you're doing great. Um, you're doing great. You just we're at how did you feel about that?
I think like, not looking at the acronym like algae and being like comfortable in the conversation, what I would do with anybody and hearing that he's not necessarily at risk for harm or suicide at this point, and not like going straight into that, we can kind of bypass the A and listening to what his concerns are with his family. And after offering, like, is there anything I can do to help? He's open to that. So I've seen a couple people in the chat, like providing different resources, but I'm like, oh, there's a couple places here I could surely offer, but um, from there I kind of got stuck. So
Yes, you did great though. Let's give her a round of applause. That's always, and it's always tough being the first one too. But yeah, you did great. You know, demonstrating that listening. You know, and it is always good to do the approach. You know, obviously you do the approach. We have the little the big A, right? The assessing for the risk of suicide or harm, and then the little A, of course, being the approach then, you know, the little one, which you did there. And certainly, I saw that great listening. You got a lot of great feedback as well on that as well, and listening non-judgmentally, even more so. And just like you said, and I think we saw in the chat, some other additional ideas for ways to offer that self-help. And including some professional help also in that time, including the work employee assistance program, since you are in a shared work environment with this person. So that could be a great resource also. Anybody else have any additional?
So like you said, there's a lot of good comments. It was, people offering, somebody mentioned, if there's employee assistance options, people pointing out the different steps that were used. Trying to go through if for, I guess some employers have emergency funding, if there's some kind of a financial issue. Let's see, spending time brainstorming some solutions, encouraging self-help, and getting him to maybe talk a little bit more about like his sleepless nights and the thought of a second job. Yeah, so lots of good stuff.
Yeah. Something else that I observed you doing too was avoiding giving advice. You did that so well of that giving reassurance and information versus giving advice. You didn't say, well, what you need to do is go do da 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 da. Instead, you said, well, is there something I can do? Here's some different options, which again is exactly what we're supposed to be doing, versus giving advice. So that was fabulous. I think that was really well done on that as well. Anybody else have anything else that, if you were to interact with Adam again, is there anything else that you would have asked that you would ask him or that you would do differently?
Gosh, I mean, this is a simulation, right? So I think just a little bit nervous with doing it, but I think in all seriousness, like sitting down and getting the resources to him in a more like natural way and really just kind of understanding more of his situation without crossing that boundary of getting too deep into it, not like it's a therapy session or acting like I know everything and all the right resources. So
Yeah.
I think in a real case scenario, it would be a little bit more natural
Mhm.
in that instance, but yes.
Yeah. No, that was great. Yeah, it's certainly always a little bit of a, and it's not like you don't have 82 people watching you either, which is could be slightly unsettling as well. Mark made a good point. I like that recommendation, Mark, too. Maybe print off and give the information in case they don't want to have, they don't want to necessarily talk about financial burden and financial struggles that they're having. Maybe having that information printed off as well. That's another great approach. Yeah, absolutely. Love that. That's a great idea. All right. Well, wonderful. Are there any other comments on Adam?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
So there's so many resources out there for every situation, and I don't think we can be expected to know them all. I think the listening part and saying, Adam, I can understand how difficult this must be for you. It must be really a difficult situation. I can understand that, how anxious you are. How much are you sleeping? Are you eating well? I would think maybe asking, instead of trying to solve the financial problem, because we can't always solve all their problems, but just seeing how that they are doing, making sure that they're okay, seeing if it's, hasn't been sleeping, maybe you should, can I help you, go to the doctors with you or find a counselor? Can I'd be happy to look into different, resources if you'd like me to. Let's get some other people together who might know more about this situation. Like, I think a lot of times they might not want they would like their problem solved. if it can be solved. But I almost feel like it's more important to listen than to solve the problem. That's just, my opinion. Because sometimes they might already be talking to financial people or trying to solve the problem, but that's not necessarily solving their emotional challenges.
Yeah, that's a great reminder, Casey, of the importance and the impact of just that listening part, right? Helping a person to feel heard and understood, how impactful that can be. What a powerful role we can have as first aiders, helping a person to feel heard and understood. We don't have to have all the answers, you know, but being able to listen, and allow somebody to know that I see you, I see you're hurting, I see you're struggling. That's a huge impact that we can have. So yeah, great reminder. Thank you. All right. So do we want to go ahead and move on to the next one? Does somebody want to volunteer to do our next scenario? I guess we'll share it with you first, and then we'll ask for a volunteer. I can go ahead and read this. So you are a youth group leader, and that can be a youth group of any kind. Fill in the blank: a boys and girls club, a local YMCA, a faith group, whatever you want it to be. You are a youth group leader, and Tyler is one of the young people in the program. You have noticed lately that Tyler seems withdrawn and uninterested in the things he used to enjoy. Additionally, you notice that Tyler always wears a coat, even when it doesn't make sense to do so. You suspect Tyler is being bullied and that he's been engaging in self-harm as a coping mechanism. So what we want to do is check in with Tyler and find out what is happening, demonstrate empathy, and offer that support that can and get him connected to those mental health resources, and using the ALGE action plan. Somebody want to volunteer to kind of walk us through this? Again, this is kind of a chance to practice.
I saw Casey raised her hand.
Casey, all right, excellent. Was that just by mistake, or
Sure,
was it?
sure. I'll give it a try.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Hi, Tyler. I'm really happy to see you today. I'm really glad that you are still participating in the activities.
I think we made it just pause for just a second because we need to start. Yeah, there you go. Start. Say start. There we
Oh,
go.
okay.
Sorry.
Hi, Tyler. It's really,
Hi.
I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. It's really good to see your face. We always enjoy when you're able to come to the activities.
Oh yeah. Today was kind of fun. Yeah.
Well, great. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I noticed that you did not seem as engaged with the activities as some of the other times in the past. You maybe just a little quieter. I was just wondering, how's everything going?
Um. Yeah. No. I'm okay. I'm okay. I was just like a little tired today, I think.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Was there any particular reason that maybe you were tired today?
Um. I just I don't know. I just have like a lot on my mind, I guess. There's just a lot of stuff going on.
I can understand that. There's always a lot of things going on with, you know, um, young people. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about? I'm here to listen. I'm happy to hear if there's anything that you'd like to talk about.
Um, well, um, Ethan and some of the other guys have kind of been like making fun of me.
the past couple times I've come to youth group, and I don't know, it's just kind of getting to me.
I can understand that. That would be really hard. I'm so sorry that you are going through that. Um, do you want to talk about like specifically maybe what is happening? Because here at the youth group, we do have very set rules of behavior, and I just want to, make sure that everyone's following them appropriately and no one's being hurt. And so, this is a safe place. If someone is acting inappropriately, I would really appreciate knowing about it. And of course, this would all be anonymous. So, they would never know that someone was letting me know. But for the safety of everyone else, too, I think it would be important to, know what those guys have been up to if you're comfortable doing that.
Um, like you wouldn't tell them that I told you, would you?
No, I definitely would not. I
Okay.
just want to make sure you and everyone else are, in a safe environment.
I guess so. Yeah. So like Ethan and like Daniel and a couple of the other guys, but it's mostly like Ethan and Daniel. Um, they like have been making fun of me because like I can't get the same like stuff that they have. Like they've got the new Nikes, and like my parents said I can't get them right now because we can't afford them. And so like they kept making fun of my shoes and like my clothes and stuff, and like like telling me that I couldn't do stuff with them because like I don't have the right shoes and dumb crap like that.
I am really sorry that's happened to you. That is very hurtful. And know that you are a wonderful person who has so many great attributes. You're outgoing, you're adventurous, and your clothes are just outer appearances and really are. I know how difficult this must be, but you are more than your clothes. And so, even though what they are saying is very hurtful, I hope that you're able to just think of all the wonderful things you do have. Now, I do want to ask, are they physically hurting you in any way?
No, no, but they like they don't stop, and like I don't know, it's like they're always making fun of me, and it's making me like really sad and stuff, and it's a lot.
That is a lot. And, that is actually verbal abuse too. So I will be able to talk to them about that later, of course, not mentioning your name. Um, you do obviously seem very upset. I just want to make sure that that you are not thinking about hurting yourself. Do you have
Um,
a plan that maybe you um, are going to hurt yourself, or are you, doing okay?
um, like what do you mean?
Well, sometimes um, teenagers can become very emotional and they have these thoughts of perhaps ending their life. And I just, that is something that would be very tragic and we definitely would not want to happen. And would you like to say something?
Uh, no, I'm not thinking of like suicide or anything like that. But um I did cut myself a few times, but like but that's it. It made me feel a little better, but like I'm not gonna like kill myself or anything.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you letting me know. I think that I'm really sorry this is happening to you. And like I said, we will deal with those other boys, but we want to make sure you're okay. Um, would it be all right with you if I discuss this with your parents, or could I help you perhaps find a counselor
Oh,
so that you could talk about this situation with somebody who is a professional who could, when situations come up like this again, that you'll be safe?
um, I do you have to talk to my parents? I don't want them to be like mad at me or anything.
No, I do not have to. Um, would you like me to help you find somebody who could help you with this situation?
I think, yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, when can we talk again? I will look into, or you and I together can get together and maybe look at some different um, options for you, to talk to someone professionally about how to handle these situations when they come up again. And then, maybe eventually you will want to, open up to your parents and other people who love you, because there's so many people who love and care about you, Adam, and want you to be safe.
Yeah, I guess we could do it like next week when I come in.
Okay, great. And I'll be looking into different places. In the meantime, you can call me, anytime. There's also a mental health emergency hotline, 988, that if you are feeling very down at any time, it's a national hotline, anonymous, and they can give you resources of places to talk to. And if you are feeling worse, they can, make sure you get the help that you need.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so glad that you talked to me. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you have a much better week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stop. All right. Great job. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
Great job. All right. You did great. You did great. Casey, how did you feel about it?
Um, I felt pretty good. I'm on the NAMI family to family peer leader. So we try to teach a lot of communication techniques, but we have never done it with a group of other people. So, but I do remember in our mental health training, they said to ask specifically about, usually like, are you thinking about suicide, or are you thinking about killing yourself? As opposed to, I did say hurting himself, but he was hurting himself. So, just to kind of get that out of the way first. And somebody in the chat, and I was thinking of it too, mentioned the 988, and I was also thinking that in my head, just so in the meantime he has something that he can, someplace he can call. I don't know the student's age, and I don't know the like the law or the regulation about divulging to the parents. So that was an area that I was not really confident about. Also, sometimes depending on your job, you have to be a,
Mandated reporter.
right, mandated reporter. If you're a, a teacher or in some, I don't know about with the troop or whatever activity he was doing, if that person was a mandated reporter, of course, he can't really associate the boys bullying him with, the cutting. That could be one reason that he's cutting, but there could be other reasons too. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know, with the mandated reporting, if that would be a situation in which you would need to report. So maybe somebody else does.
Yeah, does somebody, I think, first of all, you did a great job with prioritizing safety. That was definitely clear, which is always very, very important, making sure that he's safe from harm from other places, and then kind of taking it to the next step. Are you safe, from yourself also? Is there a risk for harm to yourself?
Thank you.
Great job on that, because that's certainly always very extremely important. I think that again, like you said, it's going to depend on the role. It's going to depend on the nature of the relationship. What other licensures are held as well. In terms of that, do you have the responsibility of being a mandated reporter involving parents? You can certainly, it's always best to have parent involvement, though, in kind of taking that. Another option there is to invite parents, me to sit down with mom and dad, with you, or with guardian,
Right.
with have a conversation, in that setting as well. But yeah, great job. We got a lot of great feedback on, on your great listening skills, certainly giving that reassurance and information, kind of steady, spending that time to give that reassurance and build that trust, with him. Some other suggestions I saw that came up is, are you talking about this with anybody? That was a great suggestion that came up.
Yes.
What happens when you do start feeling like this? When you start having these overwhelming feelings of sadness, what do you do? How do you respond to that? Which those would be, questions that could help get conversations going to the next level. And Janice chimed in
Right.
as well. This non-suicidal self-injury or self-harm can become a crisis. So I would think you will not talk to his parents, but it's important to help him practice what he could say to his parents. Yeah. So again, it's certainly what you did is, great in that, you were talking about it and you brought up the question, to us, yeah, it's certainly something that could turn into a crisis situation. It can evolve into something, what we know about non-suicidal self-injury, of course, is that it's a sign of severe psychological distress. The person is hurting. Our big priority there is to get them connected with a professional. Hey, I care about you. I'm not an expert in this, but I trust there's somebody that is. Have you given consideration to talking to somebody about this? That's kind of, that big takeaway with that non-suicidal self-injury. Anybody else? Well, Casey, let me ask you this. Would you do anything differently?
Well, I was not able to read all those comments while I was talking, but I think they are great ones. And I do think it would have been a good idea, like, next week when we meet, would you want to bring, your parents, or, is there someone else that we could, a trusted adult that you would like to talk to about this? Also, are you talking to a professional about this, presently? If not, what are, some of do you have any questions about talking to a professional? Any fears or, things that maybe I could help you feel more comfortable about with? Because I know the first time you talk to a professional can be a little, scary. And
Yeah.
So
No, that's great. Yeah, I think
and
those are all-
someone said follow up and phone before next week. I think that's a great idea, because a week is kind of a long time. So yeah, so maybe you could say, yeah, we'll do this next week. How about, sending me a text in a few days, just making or do you mind if I send you a text in a few days just to make sure you're okay? You know, or something like that, or send me one.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was great. That was great how you gave them some numbers as well as your own and some backup numbers. And then again, there's that persistent but respectful contact and follow-up is also what's indicated here, right? You
Mhm.
benefit from that. And Leslie, yeah, you pointed out that this is a good simulation because bullying is a real challenge that is faced, right, on a regular basis. Yeah, great feedback. Thank you. Anybody else have anything else they would add? Recommendations or things that maybe to consider for interactions in these types of scenarios? Thank you all for your feedback on that. Yeah, and if a peer maybe wanted to talk with them
Mhm.
about the situation,
Yeah.
you can always, getting the appropriate permissions, of course, can always be can always be beneficial, and finding out what the school policy is on bullying, very beneficial also. Making sure that you're following then protocol for that as well. Good. All right. So, well, thank you. Thank you again, Casey. Great job on that. Again, having an audience of 82 people is not always how it's going to be. So that's impressive. So great job on that. All right, so our last one, again, this is just our chance to practice and kind of walk through. Hopefully everybody feels like we're a pretty nice crowd around here. It's not too painful to practice these. So our last scenario that we have is Lisa. And Lisa is our friend. We're at her home, and we've noticed lately that Lisa's been drinking more than normal. She even insisted on making margaritas for your visit. Lisa has only ever been an occasional drinker, but now it seems as though she's always has a drink or two when you're together, no matter what time of day. You also know that she's been calling off work when she never has before. You're worried about Lisa, you're worried that Lisa is abusing alcohol and have decided to say something to her. So what we're hoping to do here is just check in with her, share our concerns about the drinking pattern and the impact it's had on her life, display empathy through our conversation, and get her connected to appropriate resources if indicated. Does anybody want to volunteer to help support our dear friend Lisa here? And you're in luck because this can be kind of a short one just because of time's sake. So you can do just a few lines with Lisa. Speakers.
You want me to do it?
Hey, there you go. I hear the volunteer. Thank you, Kelsey.
You said it was shorter, so.
It'll be short for time's sake. So you just say start simulation whenever you're ready.
Okay, start simulation. Hi- Did we start? Okay. Well, hi, Lisa. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing okay. How are you? I feel like I
Good.
haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah, I know. Life gets pretty busy, so I'm really glad that you
Yeah.
invited me over. So, how's everything going?
Well, things are okay. Um, Getting by, and yeah. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Same, a lot of stuff happening. Things get busy. So,
Make sure you get there 10 to 15 minutes early.
oh, someone's unmuted. Sorry. Um, so yeah, thank you for, like I said, inviting me over and having time. I said, I noticed you made some margaritas, so I haven't had one of those in a while. Have you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love the little mix that I found recently. Oh, it's so good. I've been having so many. Do you
Oh,
want some right now?
No, I'm good. Thank you though. Maybe
Okay.
later. So I so you said you've been having them a lot?
Yeah, I just I'll come home from work and make a couple, and it's just relaxing, and they're so good.
So are you, so it's kind of that's kind of how you're unwinding every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
With everything going on with work and everything right now, it's just been so stressful. It's been nice to have something.
What's been going on at work that's been stressing you out?
Oh, it's just like we're downsizing a little bit, and so everyone's kind of on edge right now, wondering if they're going to be next or what's going on. So it's just a little stressful at the moment.
So how is that impacting you, like you specifically, Lisa? Like how do you feel about it?
Oh, I think I'm okay. I do pretty good work, and they they said that they have to lay off a lot of people, but I think I'm gonna be okay. It's just I gotta kind of keep my head down right now and just get through it.
Okay. Um, especially, I totally get it. Work can get really stressful. I've kind of been in that position too, and finding ways to kind of deal with it and unwind after work can be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
I, one of the things that I like to do, I like to go on walks and, I go walk my dog or listen to something with music, or like I love walking with friends. If you would be interested, I would love to meet with you, like if you wanted to like hang out weekly and we could go on a walk together after work. How do you feel about that?
That would be so great. I would love that. I have to work late a little more often than I used to, so I don't know if I could, I'll have to kind of like check my schedule and see. Um, it feels like my boss is just always contacting me and wanting me to work longer. But no, yeah, that would be great. I've felt like I need to get out of the house. It's been so long since I like saw friends or anything. So yeah, I would love that.
Oh no, that I think it'd be super fun. And it would be something we can do together, and it would not be adding extra sugar and extra empty calories like margaritas can do, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Have you thought about talking to somebody, like some kind of a counselor or anything for the stress?
Oh, not not really. I guess it hadn't really occurred to me. I'm used to just kind of barreling through the stress and stuff, so I didn't really
Well,
think of that.
I know it's something that's really helped me in the past. And that's something, if you want me to help you find somebody to speak to, or we can look and see, like if your employer has some sort of an assistance program where you can go see somebody at low or no cost. I would love to help you look for that because I know how much
They do
good it's
that?
done for me. Yeah, they do. It's done me a lot
I
of good, and I think it could be really helpful for you too.
Yeah, that could be good.
We're gonna pause simulation. There you go. Excellent. Great job, Kelsey. Did fabulous. Wonderful. Wonderful. Um, just for time's sake, just so we can get everybody kind of involving. You did great, Kelsey. How'd you feel about it?
I mean, I felt fine. I think it helps that it was like a friend, so you could say stuff that you couldn't say to like somebody you don't really know. And it's not weird to be like, "Oh, here's alternatives that we can do together," or you can't really do that with like a stranger. So
Yeah.
it's much easier to come up with activities like that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was great, great job kind of encouraging that self-help and being able to.
Oh no, Bridget froze. Um, okay, well, I don't know if Bridget can hear me, but she froze, so
Anybody, which is great. Is there anything you would do differently if I hadn't cut you off? And
I don't know. I will say you froze, so I'm not sure anything of what you said.
oh, sorry, is it
That's
better? Am
okay.
I back on now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
But other things that I would have done, I mean, I think that I was kind of, I was trying to kind of figure out I didn't want to let, I was trying to tap dance around the alcohol. So I don't know if I could have like stayed longer to maybe like try to address that a little bit more. Um, especially, like just to be like, get a little more specific, but also maybe not. That might be something that kind of needs to play itself out too. So I don't know if I would have done anything if we had other friends, maybe suggest doing stuff with other friends.
Yeah. No, I think you did. I think Thelma pointed out a good point. She liked not mentioning the alcohol as the problem, but addressing the stress. So you really focused on the person, and not so much the symptom, but the person, which is what you did there. And maybe as the conversation went on, that may have come up as one of the, she may have brought that up as well. Anybody want to share how they may have, what they may have said? Is there anything you would have said differently, maybe to or additionally to her? Because I think you can take that. I don't think there's a right or wrong there. I think there's just two different approaches to it. Anybody want to share what they might say? And you can come off mute or you can put in the chat box. How could you hear? Because like you said, these are real life scenarios. I mean, these are real things. These are real situations. What are the words we can say?
Well, and especially the alcohol one, like so many people like are just like, yeah, I have some beers every night and that kind of stuff. So, and I don't know, dealing with that in real life.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
just a suggestion about asking how long she's been doing, using that as a coping mechanism for herself, because it can definitely, get worse, and making sure that we can trying to figure out how long it's been going to see
Yeah.
what we can offer for that.
Yeah. No, thank you, Carrie. And Nicole, I would ask her, when's the last time you felt good? Great question. Love that one. That's a really helpful one. And Leslie, yeah, maybe just changing, changing up your response that I'll have some tea or water. Thank you. I may have offered to search some apps to help manage stress through mindfulness. Yeah, some other ways to encourage that self-help. Certainly, some different approaches there. Ask how did you feel? Casey, great questions. I might ask how she feels about her drinking. Has it affected her work or social life? If we can get her to say, well, I've missed some work as a result. There's that good old motivational interviewing that we love so much, and that it's so effective. So that could be a good good way to approach that. So certainly, and again, don't forget for all of these scenarios, for additional first aider responses, don't forget to take a look at your manual. Some of you have the hard copy, some of you have the digital version, but don't forget there's great information in there, particularly about substance use too, conversations, because I know that's not talked about as much in the classroom time together. But there's some other great suggestions, but great job, Kelsey. Good job on that one. Thank you for leading that with us. All right, and then Beth, I think I'll turn it back over to you, and thank you to everybody too for your suggestions and feedback on that.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We do have a survey. We'd like feedback on this, just to get your thoughts and, see, what you thought of this and how the experience was. So if you could take this survey, and I did just post the link in the chat if that's easier to access. We will send a follow-up email tomorrow. Some of those things that we talked about, we'll share those in an email tomorrow. We also will send a certificate for contact hours. I know some people need contact hours for licenses and things like that. So we will have that information in our email as well. But yeah, we appreciate all of you and your time.